Hey everyone, welcome back. Did you know some nickels are worth big money? They look like normal coins, but they're super rare. Today, I'll show you which ones to look for. You might have one at home and not even know it. Let's check them out. First up, we have the 1964 D. Jefferson nickel. At first glance, this might seem like just another old nickel. It has Thomas Jefferson on the front, and on the back, you'll see his house, Monticello. But don't be fooled, this coin might be worth way more than you think. Let me tell you why. In 1964, the U.S. Mint made over 1.7 billion nickels. That's a lot of nickels, making this coin seem like it's everywhere. But here's the thing, just because there are so many doesn't mean they're all the same. Finding a 1964 D nickel in great condition is very rare. Most of these nickels were used over and over. They were tossed into pockets, dropped, and rubbed against other coins. So by the time you find one, it's usually scratched up or worn out. That's why the 1964 D nickel in really good shape is so special. In fact, only about 35 of these nickels have been graded MS66, which is a top grade for coins. MS66 means the coin looks almost brand new, with no scratches or damage. And guess what? None of the 1964 D nickels have been graded better than MS66. That shows just how rare it is to find one in such good condition. But there's another really cool version of this coin called the full steps variety. Let me explain. On the back of the coin, you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's home. If you look closely, you'll see some stairs at the bottom of the building. On most coins, those steps aren't very clear. They might be blurry or even missing. But on the full steps version, the stairs are sharp and clear. You can see all 5 or 6 steps without any breaks. This is important because it shows that the coin was made well, with a strong strike. Full steps nickels are rare, especially the 1964 D ones, because in 1964, the mint was trying to make billions of coins quickly. The machines weren't always working perfectly, so the coins often didn't have good details, like the steps. But when a full steps coin does show up, it's a huge deal. These full steps coins can be worth a lot of money. In fact, one 1964 D full steps nickel recently sold for over $6,000. That's right, a 5-cent coin sold for thousands of dollars. So, even though there are billions of 1964 D nickels out there, if you find one in great condition with those sharp full steps, you could be looking at a very valuable coin. Next, let's talk about the 1968 D Jefferson nickel. At first, this might seem like just another nickel, but it's actually pretty special. Why? Because 1968 was the year the U.S. Mint made a big change to how the coins were made, and that change is why this coin stands out. Before 1968, the mint mark, that little letter that shows where the coin was made, was on the back of the coin. But in 1968, they decided to move it to the front of the coin. So, on the 1968 D Jefferson nickel, you'll find that a D mint mark right next to Thomas Jefferson's ponytail, on the front side of the coin. This move made the 1968 D coin a transitional piece. That means it marks the start of something new in how coins were made. The change was small, but it made the 1968 D Jefferson nickel important to collectors because it's part of the history of how U.S. coins changed over time. Now, the 1968 D Jefferson nickel is considered a common date coin because the mint made over 91 million of them. That sounds like a lot, right? But even though it's common in that sense, the fact that it's a transitional coin makes it special to collectors. So, while you might find a lot of 1968 D nickels out there, the ones in great shape are much harder to find. Just like with other coins, when a nickel has been used for years, it can get scratched, worn down, or even lose some of its details. But if you happen to come across a 1968 D nickel in excellent condition, you could have a valuable piece of history in your hands. In fact, a high-grade 1968 D Jefferson nickel can be worth up to $1,058 at auction. That's right, this coin, which was once worth just 5 cents, can actually sell for over $1,000. Of course, the coin has to be in near-perfect condition for that kind of value, but it shows just how much some collectors are willing to pay for a piece of coin history. Now, even though the 1968 Jefferson nickel isn't super rare like some other coins, its status as a transitional piece makes it interesting and valuable to people who collect coins. Collectors love pieces that tell a story, and the 1968 has an important story to tell about how the U.S. Mint changed the way it made coins. If you find a 1968 Jefferson nickel in your pocket change and it looks shiny and new, it might not be worth just 5 cents. It could be a little piece of history, and in top condition, it could fetch a pretty good price at auction. So, next time you see a 1968 nickel, give it a closer look. It might just be the start of a great coin collection or even a big payday. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the 1953 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, this might seem like just another coin. The U.S. Mint made nearly 60 million of them in 1953, so it's not exactly rare. But don't let that fool you. There are some special varieties and errors that make this coin a true gem among collectors. One of the most exciting things about the 1953 Jefferson nickel is the full steps variety. If you look closely at the back of the coin, you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's home. At the bottom of Monticello, you'll find some stairs. On most coins, those steps aren't very clear, they're blurry, worn down, or even missing. But on the full steps variety, you can see all 5 steps clearly. This is a big deal to coin collectors because it shows that the coin was made very well, with no mistakes. Full steps versions are incredibly rare, and only a few have been found. In fact, one of these rare coins recently sold for a jaw-dropping $15,275 at an auction. That's way more than 5 cents. So, if you ever come across a 1953 nickel and it has all the steps clearly visible, you could have a real treasure on your hands. But that's not all. There are also a couple of errors on this coin that make it even more valuable. Let me tell you about 2 of the biggest ones: repunched mint marks and die cuts. Let's start with the repunched mint mark (RPM). The mint mark is the small letter that shows where the coin was made, either an D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. On some 1953 nickels, the mint mark was punched onto the coin twice, creating a double image. This happens when the mint uses the same punch more than once, and it leaves behind an error. RPM coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are super rare. Then, there's the die cut error. A die cut happens when part of the die, the metal stamp used to strike the coin, cracks or breaks off, leaving a chunk missing from the design. On a 1953 Jefferson nickel with a die cut, you might notice a big gap or missing section on the edge of the coin, usually near Monticello. These coins are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay a lot for them because they are a unique part of the coin's history. So, if you find a 1953 Jefferson nickel in your change, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. If it has full steps, a repunched mint mark, or a die cut, it could be worth a lot more than you think. In fact, even a regular 1953 in good condition might be worth more than face value if it has one of these special features. And there you have it, 3 US nickels that are more than just pocket change. Whether it's the high mintage of the 1964 the transitional design of the 1968 or the rare varieties of the 1953 these coins offer a fascinating glimpse into the rich history of American currency. Remember, the value of a coin isn't just in its metal content, it's in its rarity, condition, and the story it tells. So, the next time you're going through your spare change, take a moment to examine each coin. You never know when you might stumble upon a valuable piece of history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more coin collecting tips and stories. And as always, happy hunting!